What is happening, young lady?
Oh, go on. Call me young lady all day long.
Girl, I am. That's the way we roll. I come in looking like the old guy, and you're there. It is. It's good.
My 11-year-old today asked me, he said, Jake's my little brother. He goes, Jake's younger than you? And I said, yeah. And he goes, oh, I thought Jake was way older than you. And I was like, oh, go on,
Yes.
go on.
Yeah, you're like
So
extra dessert. Yeah, totally. Extra dessert for you.
that's
That's
right.
awesome. Hey, thanks for coming in and hanging out.
Thank you for having me so
Uh,
much. I appreciate it. It looks like you got a lot of awesome chicks here. And you.
a
Awesome
whole
chicks
bunch of
and you.
I know they let me come hang out sometimes, which is super super nice too. We got
Love it.
Coach Witt up there pinned too. She's been all over the freaking all over the country over here this last week, moving back and forth across a number of states, having a daughter getting married, having somebody graduate, having all kinds of craziness. And then we got a bunch of amazing women in here too. So we just want to talk
Yeah.
about things. We're going to talk all things Lindsay and freedom and all of these cool things that we all get along.
Love it.
So again, thanks for hanging out here. I told a friend of mine, I was like, oh man, I'm really excited. So Lindsay's coming in. He goes, the old that old senator guy? How often do you get that?
Oh, every day, every day.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I do a lot of like keynote speaking,
Yep.
and I will have a graphic with my picture and
Yeah.
the event, and it's like featuring Lindsey Graham, the Patriot Barbie, and I will
Yep.
post it on my page, and I still get comments like, "Why are you speaking with that rhino?" And I'm like, "Oh my word,
That's
I can't."
so
It's
funny.
awesome though. It's super memorable though. Everyone like in political circles, they're like, "Oh, I bet you hate your name," and I'm like, "Nope, I love it.
Nope.
You
Nope.
remember
Yeah, I'll
me."
take it.
Yeah.
That's so funny, man. That's got to be so annoying. I've only
Yeah.
got so there's only one guy that I'm aware of in this country who has my name, my exact name, and spelled the same way.
Wow.
And so I was giving a keynote presentation in St. Louis, and apparently that's where he's from. And I had
Oh,
some ladies
interesting.
in the very front row who I got introduced, and as I walk out, I see them go.
Oh,
They start they're booing, but quietly, right? And I'm like, I'm gonna call it out from the stage. I'm like, I
that's
don't care. That's how
right.
I'm starting right now. And I'm like, talk to me. Why? They're like, we know who you are. And I'm like, so do I. Tell me about this. And they're like, we know. And they said a woman's name. And I said, Who's that? And they're like, your ex-wife. And I'm like, oh no, I'm still on my first. Like
Whoa.
we're like everything's going really, really well too. So this is not me. You got to tell me about this. So yeah, that was the first time I
Oh,
found out
that's hilarious. Good
about
thing you
that.
got it like disassembled quickly. They could have been like, well, you this and you that. And you're like, I didn't, but I don't know how
For
to prove
sure.
it.
Yeah. Nope.
Yeah.
I just wanted to call it out quickly, man. So
I think
yeah.
it's very, very clear that I'm not the 60-year-old white guy in the Senate in South
It's
Carolina.
pretty dang
Like,
obvious.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's pretty dang obvious. That's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. I want to talk about who you are, girl. I want to highlight so much about what you're doing. And I want to talk about what you're doing now too, but I know there's a whole great backstory about, you stand kindred spirit, man, standing up and keeping businesses open. Well, I
Yeah.
still lived in California at the time in 2020. We did the exact same thing. We were not
Awesome.
shut down. We stayed open, and not only did we stay open, we expanded to more locations because
Good for you.
we weren't gonna.
What business was it?
So this was a school campus, private school
Okay.
campus. We
Oh,
had
good. Good.
wanted our kids to be able to, and we had the police officers coming by going, "Yeah, keep this open, keep it going," right? And yeah,
Yes,
their
yes.
experience was somewhat different in other ways too. So
Yeah.
I'll talk about all that, but let's talk about what you're doing right now.
Okay.
What are you excited about right now? What are you building right now? And then we'll get a little backstory, and then these ladies will come in and ask way cooler questions. We just want to,
Okay. Okay. I when people ask me, I'm like, okay, where do I start? Because
yeah, I know.
I'm
Yeah,
like, I got a lot going on.
I know
So
you
I don't
do.
know if you notice, Coach Whitney, but like it's pretty empty back there, right? Pretty empty. Someone else is moving across the country. That's
Oh,
right.
Yeah, they're currently moving a mattress in the room as like I'm
And you're like,
talking.
that's
Like
awesome.
I'm like,
yeah.
I have muted. It's all good. Like yeah, it's
That's
been
too
a
funny.
crazy ride, and I'm super excited about it though.
Awesome. Well, I'm moving to Texas. I've lived in Arizona for 5 years. This is where I fled to back in 2020. Love it here. But the Lord, I just felt like the Lord was calling us somewhere and we didn't know where, and Texas kind of manifested itself. So we're moving out. Like I'm picking up the U-Haul tomorrow. um, but I have a company. It's called Pretty Little Patriot. It's a women's fashion brand. The logo is an XX for XX chromosomes. We define women as women from the Bible and not, you can't swap that out in any way, shape, or form. You could sure try, but
Wow.
so that brand, we actually are online exclusively right now. And I have the warehouse in Arizona. So not only am I moving my whole family to Texas, but I
Mm.
had to move my warehouse to Texas last week. So I drove a 26-foot U-Haul with a 12-foot trailer attached, me, and across to Texas, set up the whole U-Haul or set up the whole warehouse, organized it, hired a new warehouse manager, trained her, got on a plane, came back here to Arizona. And I had about 2 hours where I like hugged my kids and snuggled. And I was like, all right, got to pack the house. So building like building an empire again, and we'll get to why I say again. I had an empire in Oregon.
Mm.
Rebuilding an empire that is exclusively focused on, I don't ever want to be canceled again. So my businesses stand for freedom, God, family, pro-life, women and men, like biblical traditional values. And if you don't like it, don't shop here. If you want to leave me a 1-star review, I don't really care. Like just building my life around not being ashamed of what I stand for anymore. And I wasn't ashamed in Oregon. I just didn't stand for anything. Like I had
Yeah.
my belief system, but
Yeah.
a lot of people say the rules are you don't talk politics or religion. And I'm like, those are the two things we should be talking about, right?
Right.
Like don't tell someone that believes in Jesus not to minister to people. That's crazy. But I
Mm.
wasn't doing that. And so losing everything in 2020 and restarting my life and building businesses, I want to be very bold about my convictions. More than just I don't want to get canceled, but like, the Bible says to in everything you do, do it for the Lord and glorify him and he will bless it. So um I'm finding my business venture like spirit again, and I'm finding it enjoyable to like dedicate it to the Lord and to freedom and to just be, the Patriot Barbie in every sense of the word with businesses. So I'm building. So I've got the Pretty Little Patriot fashion brand, and we've got merch and fashion and jewelry. And then I have a network marketing company that I promote on my Instagram as well. It's like direct sales for Melaleuca. And I have a huge, huge team over probably 300 women now, and it's all wellness and toxic free stuff. Building that and going to be doing it all from Texas soon. So,
Girl, that's awesome.
you
I
know,
love every single bit of that. And freedom is our favorite F word. Everything we do here is about sovereignty and freedom, man. That is it.
yep,
So amazing women right here, XX, right? And that's
yep,
it. Got our men too. Hey, that's XY. Right? And we're
yep.
building up young men, young women, and we got our campuses. Many of these are campus owners and bringing real education back to and full family education, right? So we're
Awesome.
speaking very much the same language, girl.
Good,
I
good.
appreciate you very much. Why the move now? I know why the move. So you were in Oregon, I was in California. So we were right there on the West Coast,
Yeah.
midst of the craziness and ridiculousness. I no longer live on the West Coast either. It wasn't just that were going to stay open and do what we were going to do anyways, and that wasn't even negotiable. So the move was a little something different than that. Why the
Mhm.
move now from Arizona to Texas?
So, one of the things that we lost in Oregon was our custom home. We had built a custom home on land in Silverton, Oregon. And when we had to leave, I mean, we had just lived in it for like a year, had to sell it and walk away. And it was very, very heartbreaking. Because I mean, I designed every aspect of this house. And I honestly, I'm already gonna get emotional. I, um, I haven't been in a place the last 5 years to build again. And before Melaleuca came along, I was kind of just taking random brand deals that aligned with my values and kind of affiliate stuff, like whatever, like I was the breadwinner back in Oregon. And then I came here and I love being a stay-at-home mom, but I also have an entrepreneurial spirit. And I just kind of felt like I was depriving myself of that. But I didn't have anything going that was like even remotely financially capable of saying like someday we're going to build a house again, like it was just like a dream that was kind of lost.
Mm.
And I prayed that the Lord would give me contentment, just like this is where we're going to live. I don't need to build ever again. Why can't I just be happy where I'm at? And he gave me that gift. I was like, I literally repainted this whole house white. It was like a tan color, Arizona, they love their tan. Painted it white, sold all my farmhouse furniture and got like gold and black and marble. I'm like, all right, I'm making a home here. And then literally my Melaleuca business blew up. And my husband's like, we should look at building again. And I was like, oh my Lord, I just got content. And mind you, we had these plans that we'd been working on for years. Like since we left Oregon, we took those same plans and we've been tweaking them like, oh, this is what we would have done. But I was like, you know what? Let's just let it go. Like, I don't want to be striving for the next thing. I don't want that to be my life, like always looking to level up. I know that that's good sometimes, but for me, it was like, I just want to be content, you know?
Yeah.
And then I played in a celebrity softball tournament in Texas, and my husband fell in love with Texas. And I fell in love with Texas. And we were like, what is land like here? So we looked and we're like, okay, if we did this and we did this and we sold the house and we did this, we could buy land, we could buy a temporary house. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm glad I just painted the house white.
Yeah.
$3,000 down the drain. But it's also really emotional for me because it was like I had no future. Like I didn't have any hope for that future. And I asked the Lord to give me contentment, and He did. And it was like the moment He gave me that contentment and I accepted it, He was like, I'm still going to give you what you want, girl. I'm always going to give you what you want. As soon as, like, I know your heart, I know you want this. I spoke into you that you could have peace, but now I'm going to give you your dream. And so it just really was a combination of that and then my business blowing up financially in a way that I'm like, this could provide for our family now, in addition to my husband's work, and and then falling in love with Texas all at the same time. And
Yeah.
so we fell in love with Texas in October. By February, we were visiting again to like really kind of see if we wanted to buy.
Yeah.
And then by March, our house was sold. We had land bought and we had a temporary home built. Like boom, 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 just like that. And today I was out sitting by my pool going, oh my gosh, I'm moving to Texas. Like I didn't even stop to think about this. We just like did it.
Yeah.
So it's really wild.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That I think that's such an interesting, I don't know if balance is the right word, but you're talking about that peace, you're talking about that contentment, and then talking about leveling up too.
Hmm.
And I think there is and maybe rightfully so, a belief that it's going to be one or the other. And I do think sometimes it can be both.
Hmm.
But and maybe that is a spiritual conversation in a way,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Where it really
Yeah.
is, where it's like you can actually have both of those, but it is more of a spiritual conversation than it is a personal conversation, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, am I always looking for the next thing so that I can fund my goal?
Mm.
Or am I reaching my goal and then leveling up is really just about personal like focus and achievement more than like I got to do this because I want that car. I got to do this because I want to expand on our house. Or is it like I'm totally cool and if I choose to level up, it's so that I can generate more income and more vacations for my kids or more, more opportunities more than to fund like an ever hungry machine of like wanting worldly and earthly things, right? And
100%.
even, yeah, even now, like this is so humbling, you guys. We bought a manufactured home. My husband's like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Let's do it." Like, I want to be that like humble. So we're living in we remodeled it, but we're living in a manufactured home for as long as it takes to build the house. And I told my husband, it's got a beautiful yard, it's got a beautiful oak tree, it's peaceful, it's serene. I want to be so comfortable there that I am not jonesing to get out of it to build our house. I want to be at peace with that too. I want there to be enough money. I don't want to have to work and be like, oh, we can't afford this. What are we doing? I want it to be like, we have every opportunity to do this without stressing ourselves out and being like house broke. So I'm like, if I have to live in this manufactured home for 2 years, whatever it is, like that's the kind of peace I want to have. Very, very different than my previous life. Let me tell you.
Very much so, but that's
Yeah.
that's it, man. There is a
Yep.
piece that's earned there that you don't earn any other way, and that's
Yep.
um and I've had to switch even in our organization here, just switch the mindset around. Look, I'm all for making money. I want to make money because I want to give it away.
Yeah.
Look, our families, we're good. We're fine. We don't take a lot of money. We don't do a whole lot of fancy. Well, that's just not our style, man. We love living on the farm and taking care of our
Mhm.
stuff. we're good, man. I want to make more money so that we can give more away and help more human beings. Like that's it.
Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah, that's a worthy cause.
That's a different sort of deal. You know what's interesting? So we got this whole theme of building and rebuilding. And one of the very first things I always pay attention to the words people use. And at the very beginning, you talked a lot about you said something specifically around rebuilding, and you were tying it to not essentially standing up for something for a long time. You stood up for something and kind of going through this process of building and rebuilding. What what do you mean by when you say I wasn't really standing up for anything? Do you mean you weren't being vocal about your beliefs prior to? If that's what you mean, did you mean that when COVID happened and refused to shut down? And I'd love for you to, if you don't mind, telling the story of that and telling the story of your young leader getting pulled to the side and interviewed individually, illegally, right?
Mm-hmm.
All these things that were happening with your family and going into, and the threats to the business and all that kind of stuff. Was that the thing that made you decide, okay, I'm gonna be vocal? And what would have made you be vocal? Is there anything that could have happened that would have made you have been vocal without that having to happen? You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
because I don't want people to go, I gotta wait for a crisis
Oh, yeah. Okay.
just to
Yep.
start to stand up for who
Right.
I want to be, right? And who I
Right.
need to be, and the message that I want to share. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to wait for a crisis. Do
Yeah.
it now, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything
Yeah.
that would have made you do that anyways, do you
Mm.
think? And then we can get into what actually happened too.
Okay, well there is the mitigating factor that I was not wide awake whatsoever. So I'm not sure what would have woken me up. It's so hard to say like what could have or would have happened because my situation was so dramatic.
Mhm.
Um, but when you are right when I say like I had beliefs,
Yeah.
but I wasn't really strong in them and I didn't really feel the need to speak up. Like, oh, I don't want to rock the boat. If somebody believes this, I'll just let them think it. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't affect me, right? And the reality is, unfortunately, too many people don't realize it does affect you. It affects you if you're quiet. It affects you if you don't speak up. It affects you if you let other people fight the fight and you don't either have their back or you don't speak up also. And
Mm.
so for me, it did have to be like a cataclysmic moment. It had to be um, the government shut me down. I had six businesses. I was going to go bankrupt. I was going to lose everything. I didn't agree with what they were saying. And therefore I was like, I don't have a choice. I feel like I didn't have a choice. I had to fight it. Or if I
Mm.
didn't fight it, I would be bankrupt in Oregon right now. I would be homeless. I don't even know where we'd be. And so, but I do want to encourage people. Here's what I remember in that time. That was my calling. That was what the Lord did for me. That was what He had planned for me. And I fell into it. Thank God, right? I obeyed, I complied, I listened, I heard His voice. When I did that, the one thing I really could have used was a lot more voices that had my back.
Mm.
I could have used a lot more stylists in Salem saying, not just saying, we support you, we love what you're doing, then leave your salon that's closed and come
Yeah.
work in mine and pay
Yeah.
me rent, right? Like, because ultimately, yay was awesome, but I lost my business because none of those stylists were willing to say, I'm going to come up behind you and I'm really going to show you support. I'm going to come in there and I'm going to work with you. I'm going to stand by you in solidarity. And
Mm.
so here's the crazy thing. I did it. Like I took the hit. I mean, I was targeted. I was told I was going to lose my business and get arrested and go to jail and all these things. So why couldn't you do just this tiny little part to like come up behind me or beside me, show up at the press conferences and say, I agree with her. She's got enough people saying that they disagree with her and calling her names and slandering her. I'm going to go ahead and be somebody that says I'm with her. And
Mm.
a lot of people didn't do it out of fear. Well, if they're targeting you, they're going to target me. I'm going to get hate. I'm going to get canceled, which I totally, I understand. But at the same time, that's what you have to sleep with at night. If you're letting someone else take the hits and you're saying, "Oh, I agree, but I'm just going to stay over here because I don't want to get canceled," then that's you missed a very crucial turning point in your life where the Lord could have rewarded you for being strong. And one thing I will say is the most incredible thing about my story is people that watch me now, and it's like if I tell the story from the beginning and I stop at the part where I moved to Arizona, you're going to be left thinking, well, what happened? She obviously crawled under a rock and went away and like lost everything and went bankrupt. She's homeless, right? No, no, the Lord literally gave me a bigger, better, more purposeful life than I ever had back in Oregon. And he did it because I was brave. He did it because I stood for truth in a time when very few people would. So don't miss an opportunity. When you have a tiny, tiny opportunity to speak truth, even if it's just to one person, even if it's in a grocery store, even if it's in a moment where, oh, I don't want to rock the boat, I don't want to ruin this relationship, you stand for truth and God will reward you for that.
Who are you look at, if anybody, who are you looking to or leaning on or um, kind of gaining strength with or having conversations with? Like, were you having conversations with anybody else that was doing the same thing that was like, this is ridiculous and here we go? Were you connecting with people either there in Oregon or online somewhere or paying attention to stuff? Like, who helped fuel that? Or was it specifically just you and your husband and you're like, look, we're going to lean on God and here we go. I don't even know
Mhm.
what's going on with the rest of the world.
Yeah, it was just me. I got to be
Or
honest. It
that.
was just me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got inspired by Shelley Luther in Dallas, Texas. She's the one that opened the Blonde and she got arrested for refusing to apologize. But I remember watching her. I mean, I'm sitting here at home being that person that's like, this is crap. Like, this is dumb. This doesn't make sense. The government thinks they can control a virus. I mean, that is just the dumbest. I'm not political and I wasn't even walking closely with the Lord at this point. But I'm like, this is the dumbest thing. I can't believe people believe this, that the government's like, we can flatten the curve. I'm like, I'm not even smart. And this is dumb people stuff right here. So I saw Shelley Luther defying and I went, good for her. That's what we need to do. Like, good for her for standing up. And I went, you know what? I'm not standing up. I'm not defying. I'm sitting at home. I mean, I was enjoying my maternity leave. I had just had a baby, my third baby. He was born March 6th. So I was like, whatever, I got a new baby. I'll stay home. But then I was like, I don't know. I don't know about this. This is not going to work for me financially. And as it got more and more dire, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna open up too. Not the tanning salons, not the gym. Like we had other people involved in those, but the salon is mine. I own it. I control this, and I'm gonna open up. And I told my 25 hairstylists, I'm gonna open up, and you guys do whatever you want. I'm just telling you right now, you're allowed to work. This is my building. I pay rent. You pay rent. I'm gonna let you work. Only like four of them decided to work out of 25. Most of them quit when they started getting the threats. Um, but it was just me. I mean, even my husband was kind of like, do what you got to do. Like he was kind of impartial. Like we honestly, when I can't even stress when I say this enough, like we were not political. In my mind, I thought everybody in America doesn't agree with this. There's no one out there that thinks we should all be staying home and staying. There's no one that believes this crap that we're being fed from the media. There's no one that's going to think that me going to work is controversial. I mean, I wasn't like, I'll be a hero, but I was like, no one's going to be mad at me. They're all going to agree with me. Oh boy, was I wrong, obviously. But so he was just like, yeah, go back to work. And I was like, all right, I'm going to. And then before you know it, the news was messaging me on Facebook. We heard you're reopening. Would you like to make a statement? I'm like, how did the news get on? What? I was just going to open quietly. So
Wow.
it turned into a whole thing. But it was very much like I did it in solidarity. I did it in solidarity. I
Wow.
did it with like just my own convictions. No one encouraging me one way or the other. In fact, I had more people saying, don't do this than I did saying, do it. And I just was like, it's fine. It's not a big deal. I'm just going to do hair. Well, no regrets, right? No regrets.
Good for you, man. Do you get more pushback now
Um,
or less?
I get like hate messages on Instagram and
Oh,
stuff
sure.
because
So do I.
yeah,
So
the more
totally.
opinions you have, like the more
Yeah.
likely you are to
Totally.
piss people off. But I
100%.
don't care about him anymore. So
Yeah.
it was like I was thrown in the fire. Like
Mhm.
not political, not religious, not talking about Jesus, not sharing my faith. And then I go and do that. And I mean, the hate was like insane. Death threats, hate mail. like my husband was getting email messages from people pretending to be like men who had affairs with me, and they were like graphically detailing like totally fabricated stories about me. It was like I got thrown in the fire and I got singed and burned so bad that when I got out and people were like, "You're a racist," I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. Move on.
Gotta
Like,
get
find
down to
something new." Yeah. Hard at,
yeah. And
but it
isn't
made,
there a peace that comes with that too?
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it really is, right?
I
I mean,
learned, this is what I learned above all else when I got to Arizona and I felt like, okay, I'm safe. Like no one can actually like try to kill me in Oregon, right? They don't know where I live now. I I had this like it's such an obvious conversation, but when I say it, I don't know if some people don't absorb it. I'm like, if you call me a name and I'm not actually that name, like
yep.
does it hurt your feelings, right? Like does it if you say like you're so fat, like I already know I'm not fat. So I'm like I'm not
So,
offended because
yeah,
I'm not fat.
yeah.
If you call me a racist and I know for a fact that I'm not a racist, then why would that be an offensive slander? So I really dove into the Lord at this time, really, and that's what changed my faith completely. And he just made it very clear, like I identify you. They don't identify you. Like your identity is in me. And if you know, and I know, and we both know who you are, then what's the problem? And I was like, oh my gosh, crazy. And that's the moment I turned and I was like, oh, I don't care about the hate. I don't care what you call me. Doesn't make it true.
Mm, I love it. Yeah, you posted something the other day where you're like, you something about like you might not like it here or something
Oh
like that.
yeah.
That was so I'm like, there you go, girl. Like that's it right
Welcome.
there.
Hey, and it's true too. I have people come to my page because I'll make a reel that's funny
Yeah,
or I don't know, that
yeah,
stands for something that they stand for. But
yeah.
then the minute I stand for something that they don't, and they're like, "Oh, that's too extreme," then they like leave, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm not everything you thought I was cracked up to be.
That's right. That's so
Welcome."
funny. No, I love it. And I love that you just take it with a grain of salt like that too, because that really is a piece. It's funny, man. So we talked, I know you did a podcast recently with my friend Dan Holloway and over there,
Hmm.
the Drinking Bros and good guys over there, man. I love those
It's an
dudes.
interesting episode, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And I've done that show and Dan has come on with our men too. And I love Dan, man. And we have some great conversations on stuff, but he can get himself fired up. It's like,
Yeah.
relax. It's all it's okay. It's okay. Like
Oh,
it's
that's
everything's
funny.
okay.
Yeah.
There's some more peace in there when it's because it's exactly what you said. If you've got if you've got convictions and you've put those to the fire and you've questioned yourself more than anybody else can question you, and you've come to your conclusions and you've come to the conclusion on who God says you are,
Mhm.
doesn't really matter what anyone
That's
else is,
right.
right? Like
Yep. Yeah.
real some peace in that.
Yeah.
Let's get some
The question you ask yourself at the end of it is, all right, so if somebody calls you a name or a slander or says something about you that's not true, the reality is that it could cause some damage, right? Oh, I lost brand deals or I lost this or I lost
yeah,
friendships. But then you kind of go, well, are you willing to compromise your convictions over a brand deal? And the answer would be for me, like, no. So, if you're going to believe what you hear about me and not ask me, and I know that it's not true and you've just made your own assumption, then I'm not going to apologize for something that I don't know what you an apology for.
literally is that
Yeah.
simple.
Yep.
Literally is that simple. Oh, I freaking love that.
I
All right.
love when people double down. Go ahead. Coach Whitney, you want to talk? You haven't gotten to
I
talk this whole time. I'm going to let you.
That's the one
Poor
downside
thing.
of
She's
the
like,
ugly gray bearded man on this when I come in with the ladies is that I just want to talk. Sorry, yes, please.
Whitney
it's
has
all
to
good.
stand for at
It's
least
all
20
good.
minutes.
Sorry.
Yeah, so
Right.
no, so I just wanted to I think some could look at, you keeping your business open, or reopening your business may have been reckless or whatever. To me, that was a fearless moment that you stepped in, and I always look at the things that I do and with my kids standing behind me and they're watching. And when I see like you taking a stand like that, I think my question is how are you teaching your kids to be fearless without being reckless?
Ooh, wow, that's a good one. Well, let me just start by saying you brought up something that I often forget. And what I often forget is I was actually very fearful in that moment. I knew that I had to open and I knew that I had to work. And I didn't know everything about COVID, just like we all didn't, right? I knew that I believed for the most part the media was lying, but to what extent? So did I actually know that if I went into my salon and I did hair, that I wouldn't contract COVID and then give it to people and they would die? Do the masks actually work? Because I'm not wearing one. So am I actually, could I actually hurt somebody? Like I didn't know those things. I didn't believe that I would, but I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. But those people were lying to us anyway. So I'm like, well, I know just as much as you do. So this is it, it was fearful for me. I didn't want to say masks don't work because I was like, I don't know if they don't work. I don't believe in them. I don't think we should be forced to wear them, but I was very fearful in that moment. But I think that my kids saw that too. They saw the fear in our home when I would come home and tell my husband, Oregon Health Authority says they're going to take away my hair license. That means I could never do hair ever again. That's my entire livelihood. And we had to talk about it and we had to cry and I had to be fearful. And then when they came to our house and they threatened to take my three kids, I mean, that was the most fearful moment I've ever had in my life, ever, probably ever will be. And that was the moment I was like, I can't do this. I can't keep doing this. And, as the story goes, a lawyer came forward and was like, oh, we're going to sue the crap out of them. Don't worry about it. Keep going. And I was like, okay, okay. But my kids got to see me do something that went against my nature because I was fearful. But what it was right. So I did something with an overall conviction that, like, I am scared to death, but it's okay to be scared and still stand for what's right. And there are still times I really love people. I can get on my Instagram and I can say whatever I want, and, however many hundreds of thousands of people see it. But if I had to stand in front of, a pride parade with people and tell them what they're doing wrong, I would be fearful. Are they going to take a swing at me? Are they going to hit me? Are they going to attack me? Like there's fear there. And I still have it. I don't have it on social media, but I have it in real life when I go speak at school boards. And I'm like, there's the whole, you know, uh, clan right there. The whole, what's the word I'm looking for? Cult. There's the cult right there. And they do not like me and they are glaring at me. And this is very scary for me to put myself up here and speak out against a mob of people. But when your kids see that, it's even more empowering than going, I'm not afraid. This is no big deal. It teaches them, like, we only stand for things that don't scare us. But when you
Mm,
stand for things that scare you and you do it anyway, that is the actual definition
right.
of bravery. It's not to be fearless and do it, it's to be fearful and still do it anyway.
That's right.
And I pray that that's what they see and they see it still every day in the things that we stand for and what we go up against. And it's amazing what my 11 and my 8-year-old retain because they will
Mm.
have conversations with me and they will say things that would be considered very bold. And I'm like, well, they learned that from me. Like, this is awesome. So
Uh,
yeah,
do you know Tony Blauer?
I don't know.
Oh,
Mm-mm.
okay. So Tony's come in a couple times with our men and our young men, and phenomenal guy. Been in the martial arts world for freaking 40 years, 50 years, and but it's not just martial arts as is self-defense. It is really a master. Everything he does is really a master class on fear and managing human behavior and managing your own fear. And one of the things that he said to us, I'll never forget. He says, if you were going to take a look at a bottle of bravery, he said, and you look at the ingredient list, so the only ingredient on there is fear.
Mm.
Oof, that's yeah,
Wow.
yeah, that's really
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
true. And we've
Because
got
all the other words are just synonyms:
that.
courageous,
Yeah, yeah.
confident, and that's the same thing. Ooh, that's so interesting.
Happening when it's fear, that's when you're actually brave.
Hmm.
And I think that's such an interesting thing. We have this family contract, and rule number 11 in our house out of the 11 is um, doing the right thing is always the right thing. And when we talk about that with people, people assume it's like, yeah, of course you want to do the right thing, you don't do the wrong thing. Yes, that's one layer of it, but doing the right thing is always the right thing, including when it's really, really scary to do it,
Hmm. Yep.
because that's the hardest time to actually do the right
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
When it's really scary and you can see that there could be backlash, you can see that there could be danger, you see that there could be some financial downsides, some reputation, social downsides. Those are, like, you can
Hmm.
name any number of boogeymen as far as that, but you still do what's right in the face of that.
That's right.
That's it. Oh
It's
man,
amazing.
really good. I'm gonna bring a couple of these folks in too and have a conversation. Let's get the Utah crew in here.
I didn't even look to see if there's a chat. If there's a chat, I should
Oh,
have been
you're
looking
good.
at.
No worries. Yeah,
Okay.
we'll get, they know that they come in and they'll ask, they'll go live.
Hi, Utah peeps.
Hi, Lindsay.
Hi.
This timing of you being here is perfect. Coach Whitney just posted a video yesterday about using your voice. And she said, like, use your voice even if it's shaky.
Mm.
And that, like, really got to me because I, like, even raising my hand to, like, be part of this, right? Like, I have the butterflies, I have the nerves, and, like, my throat, like, I get, like, nervous. So, have you ever, like, how do you be brave in like a physical aspect? Like, have you had to ever cope with anything like that? And how did you kind of
Mm.
handle it to be
Yeah.
use your
Yeah.
voice?
Yeah. So the moment that comes to mind is really like I'm sure you guys have seen it. The school board where I dressed like a cat
Yeah, I
spoke
was
out
gonna
against,
say,
yeah, I'm
girl, you
like,
messed up on that one too.
that was, yeah,
Yeah.
that was, a lot of people don't know that like that was the first school board I ever spoke at ever. I've never spoken to a school board before. And it's very different than speaking on like a stage as a speaker because you are asked to be there. They're there to see you and you can say nothing wrong. But when you're speaking at a school board, you're targeting somebody or you're targeting a demographic of people, and half the people there are not going to like what you have to say, and the other half might. But that was the first time I'd ever spoke at a school board, and I was by myself. I didn't have like a posse. I didn't get on Instagram and go, I'm going to go speak at the school board. Come support me. I don't. I just that's kind of not. It wasn't on my mind. It wasn't on my radar. And thirdly, I was dressed like a cat. So like half the people were there were like, is this a crazy furry chick? And if so, we love her, right? The liberals were like, yay, we love her. She's a cat. She's deranged like us. And then the other half were like, conservatives were probably like, is this crazy chick a cat? And she's going to come talk on behalf of whoever. So like everybody in the room hated me until they could figure out what I was doing there. So that was, I mean, like I was sweating in places I didn't know existed. I was very alone and scared. And it was like, I came here to do something. And what did I come to do? I came to make a point that not a lot of people are brave enough to make. And I have nothing to lose. So I am the only person equipped to do this. Like I am the person called to do this right now. And getting up there and saying the things I said, it's really important to point out that I didn't get up there and like go off. I didn't get emotional. I didn't get hateful. I didn't get vindictive. I laid out facts. I mean, this was a pre-written speech that I proofread multiple times. I timed it. I rewrote it. I made sure what I'm saying is going to be conceived as hateful no matter what, because that's how they are. That's how they are. If you say something I don't like, it's hateful. But in reality, what was written was strictly like, these are the facts and these are the concerns. And that's what I'm saying. And so a lot of the time when I'm scared, I always come back to like, but am I right? But am I right? Okay. Because if
Mm.
I'm going to say something that is hateful or is
Mm.
vindictive or is wrong, right? Just like I said, I was scared about the masks in 2020. You can go back and find all the podcasts and archives and news interviews that you want. Never once did I say COVID is a scam, masks don't work, this is all crap, I'm opening up. What I continued to say was, I have a right to work and I need to feed my family. I could not say masks don't work because I didn't know that. And
Mm.
it was irrelevant to me. But when you are stepping into a moment of bravery where you know what you're saying is right,
Mm.
that will give you an overwhelming peace. Just keep repeating to yourself, it's right though, but it's right, but it's right. Think about the kind of courage that the disciples had to have when Jesus was being crucified and they were asked, are you his disciples? That's like that's like the first historical cancel culture. We're going to murder this guy because we don't like what he has to say. And then they have to decide, well, I could get murdered too. Do I vouch for this guy? Do I say that I believe in who he is? The answer is yes. And the amount of courage it must have taken because they were like, because I'm right, because I'm right, because I'm right. I know that what I stand for is correct and it's still scary, but that gives you a lot more courage. And if you can't answer, I know that I'm right about this, then you probably should, back up, take a step back. But if you know that what you're saying is right, okay, men can't be women. Grown men should not be in the locker room with me or my daughter or your daughters. Oh, that's hate speech. Yeah, whatever. It's all hate speech. Is that true? Yes, that's 100% true. I will never back down from that statement ever. And when you know that that statement is true and that speaking it gives freedom to women and children and little girls over freedom for a grown man with a delusion, then
Mm,
how can you be afraid to speak that? And how could you say that amount of bravery? I don't have it because my daughter isn't worth it. Like I can't be that brave because she doesn't deserve that. Like I just could never imagine my daughter being in a situation that I allowed because I was like, oh, I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to be called hateful. What? Mom, you didn't speak up. I know that it's hard, like, and people hate you, but you didn't speak up. And this man came in the locker room with me and you were afraid? Like, come on.
mm,
Just above all else, when you are scared, think about what's at risk if you don't.
right. What do you think, Sam? I am.
I getting emotional thinking about that. So thank you. That was wonderful.
Mhm.
Appreciate you being on here.
It is. It's an emotional thing, and I think that like we we have to be raw enough to recognize how scary it is if we don't speak up. Like
Mm,
I don't even want to begin to compare losing my salon to the level of like losing my daughter to to the disgust that's going on. You know what I mean? Like my kids are more worth fighting for than my stupid business. But that's just where it started. That was the catalyst in my life that opened up my eyes to everything else. And now I think if we stay silent, who suffers? Not me. I can kick a guy in the nuts in the locker room, like no problem. You know, I will scrap. But can someone's 5-year-old daughter stand up for herself? Should she have to? No. She's living a pure innocent life in which she should be able to continue to live that and expect that we are going to stand up for her.
that's right. That's so good, man. And you know, there's Um, and I want to bring these other ladies in, but you were talking about doing the right thing and standing up for what's right, and it made me think too in Hebrew when God is talking about David, he says he uses these two words. He says Tob and Sadak, and so Tob is good and good by the world standards, and so he says you're not good by the world standards. You're not good, and we can argue at that point maybe the world actually had some standards too, and
Mm-hmm.
David made some knucklehead decisions, and that's easy to see. He said, but you're Sadak. He said you're right. You're right about me, and you're
Ooh,
right about who you are, and you're right about this, and that's why
wow.
you're a man after my own heart. You're not good, but you're right. Well, now shoot, fast forward, and now we're in 2025. I would argue that good by the world standards is pretty off freaking kilter a lot of times
Yep.
too. You
Yeah.
know, I'm really not down to be that kind of good too, and I still want to be right, and I still
Yes.
do the right
Yeah.
thing. It's
In
really
fact, I think you're right in this sense too. You're right that we're probably called bad because we're not inclusive and we're not accepting and we're not loving.
right,
They've totally flipped that on its head. And
100%.
so in a sense of like let's take a poll on the internet. If there was a poll worldwide, is the Patriot Barbie good or bad? I'd probably be labeled bad. She's
Probably
hateful, she's divisive, she's slanderous, she's not a Christian, she screams hate, she's divisive. Like I'm okay with that, but I'm
dang
right too.
right too. Dang
But I'm
right.
right.
Erica,
Hey, thank you so much for being here. It's been very, very amazing to hear your story. And what I'm curious about is going through this experience, like how much did that cause just a drastic shift in the way you decided like to parent? Maybe you were already on the exact same course, but
Mhm.
I'm imagining like going through this had to have just created like a really a drastic shift in like being super intentional about like how you want to raise your kids, maybe even beyond what it was before. And I don't know if that's true or not. I just wanted to kind of hear your perspective. And if so, like what have you really prioritized of like, hey, these messages are the ones I really want to send home to my kids.
Mhm. Yeah,
I
you
hope
are.
that makes sense.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's a good question because it's something people don't realize. Like when you become awake, what else trickles down that hill, that snowball? What snowballs? Yeah, like my parenting drastically changed. Like whoop. I was, I mean, first of all, I was working very long hours, not a very present mom, and was totally like okay with it because I was boss babing it, which God flipped that on its head. I moved to Arizona and I was like, I don't have a job now at all, so I guess I'm a stay-at-home mom, which ended up being such a blessing because, gosh, I love my kids. They're so much fun and I love being with them. But also I went down all the rabbit holes because I was being platformed by conservatives. And so then I was watching their platforms and learning, okay, I wasn't paying attention to that. I don't think I believe in that anymore. So we'll go down the list. Like I stopped vaccinating my kids. My first two got all their vaccines up until 2019. My baby that was born got vaccinated when I had him, and then he's never been vaccinated again. I was like, I'm not saying on a platform vaccines kill people or vaccines cause autism or vaccine. What I'm just saying, I'm choosing not to take that risk with my kids, right? I'm choosing to say what I know. Again, COVID, right? What I know, not a scientific proclamation. I don't know what vaccines do. Therefore, I reserve the right as a mom to say, since we don't know, and half of you say they cause autism, and half of you say, no, play safe. I'm going to choose just not to take the risk. And we're going to choose to live healthy lifestyles. And guess what? My kids are like never sick, ever. Um, they were in public school in Oregon. When we moved to Arizona, we switched to a private Christian school. I was like, I don't know what they're teaching. I'm on my Instagram every day exposing public schools for teaching sex ed to third graders and homosexual content and pornographic books. I was like, there is no way I can send you off to school in any kind of faith that something is not inherently being taught to you, whether it's passively by a teacher that's trans or in the actual curriculum that they're hiding from me. So you know what? I'm going to tell you guys right now, this is probably one of the boldest statements I will ever make, and I continue to make it. I can't believe no one's come for me. I would rather my kids not have any education whatsoever. None. Well, I'll teach you how to garden and I'll teach you how to run a business and I'll teach you whatever I can. Okay. I'd rather not homeschool you and not have you go to school at all, ever, and go to heaven than go to a public freaking school. Like, there is nothing that God says you need to know in public school that will get you into the kingdom of God. So if it's your heart and your soul or knowing geometry, I'll take the narrow road. Like I'd rather you be stupid than hand you off to these demons and let them indoctrinate you to the point where you are no longer a believer in Christ. Um, I cut off like Netflix, YouTube. They don't own iPads. Um, that's not to say that every now and then we have like an Android on a road trip and we're like, here's the show that you can watch, but we're not like, they don't have access to YouTube or anything like that. There's crazy stuff on YouTube. Um, what else? uh, like just everything. I mean, I just became so much more awake and aware. And we talk about things that I normally wouldn't have imagined talking to them about. Like some people think this is wrong. I completely disagree, of course, or I wouldn't do it. Like I've had to talk to my kids about abortion because I had an abortion in my 20s. I deeply regret it. It's a huge part of my testimony. And I am very outspoken on my social media about why I'm so anti pro choice. Because if I wouldn't have been given the choice, there would be a child that would be alive, my child, and I wouldn't have had the right to murder her. Like I am pro life 100%. My abortion is the, the, the most regretful thing I've ever done in my life. And it's painful every day. And so when my kids hear me talk about abortion, the first time I remember my son asked me, what's an abortion? And I went, ooh, okay. How do I explain this without hurting you, right? And taking away your innocence. And now my kids are able to say with conviction, well, didn't God make that baby? Hmm? God didn't. So we shouldn't, why would someone want to take that baby's life? Like, great point. And we don't, as humans, we don't have the right to take a life. So they're able to start like, of course, I've never gone into the gruesome effects of like how an abortion is performed, obviously, but for them to know that that evil is in the world, they can combat it. For them to not be sheltered, like I think there's a difference between being sheltered and not even knowing what an abortion is, or not knowing what who Biden is, or not knowing what any of those trans people are. They have to know so that you can teach them what's wrong about it in the most biblical way. If they don't know what a trans person is, then my son and my daughter don't know how to look for the wrongness in it. And the wrongness is like my daughter can ask me, well, why? Why can't a man be a woman? Okay, well, let's talk about what happens then if a man is in the bathroom with you and he has different body parts than you. And all that. It's like we just equip them. I think I'm beating a dead horse, but we equip them to develop um, their own critical thinking while also teaching them why we believe what we believe and why we stand up against it. Because
Right.
it's not just trans people are bad. It's okay, let's have a conversation. Here's why we disagree biblically with this, and here's why it doesn't play out in the real world the way that you think it should. And here's why it's not hateful. It's a protection mechanism for actual women. Like, oh, okay, that
Mm.
all makes sense, right? Yeah, it does. Okay, so now we don't just believe, quote, one thing. My children are equipped to understand why they should combat those evils.
Really good.
Yeah. No,
That was a long answer.
no, I appreciate it. And one of the things you said, about like you'd rather your kids just get into heaven. And the thing that I've been saying a lot lately is like if we raise the human, the rest it just works itself out, right?
That's right.
Like there's
Yep.
nothing in particular I'm trying to like have them memorize or, it's
Mhm.
like raising a good human, they're gonna be
Yep.
just
That's
fine.
that's what matters. We have to remember that how the world started. There was no public school. There was no geometry. There was no science. There was no astrology. There was no astronomy. There wasn't that. Like these people were created by a God who said, everything you have is right here and I will provide it. Food to eat, be fruitful and multiply. That was the task. Be fruitful and multiply. Not be fruitful, multiply, get a college degree, and be a CEO of a company. Be fruitful, multiply, become an architect, make a lot of money, and like buy a yacht. Like just be. Like life
Hmm.
itself is a gift, not life with a college degree or life with a heavy bank account or life with a Cadillac Escalade. That's my dream car. That's why I said it. Um, working, leveling up. But like that's also what comes with peace is being like, God never said that those have any meaning. So like our kids' education doesn't really have any meaning according to the Bible. So why is there so much emphasis on putting your kids into school when really the emphasis should be, am I raising a bold little warrior for Christ? Yes or no?
I love it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah. We'll have to have a conversation another time about the schools that we build here.
Oh, yes, 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 yes,
We're talking
please.
about real education versus what you're talking. And again, not that certain academia is always bad or a net, but the indoctrination is bad. And not I was in public schools, which is why I built the schools that we build now. I would
Yeah.
never, my kids would never
Nope.
step, not
Nope.
not I understand some people said I get it. They'll never. Um,
Yeah. And that's so hard, Matt, because like I have friends, I have followers whose kids go to public school, and I'm like, I'm not shaming you if you don't have another way, and I'm not shaming you if that's the choice you
right.
made. Like, I'm just saying this is my choice. I could never be okay dropping my kids off at a school and not knowing what's being taught to them. I could never. It's just
Well,
all personal conviction.
I'll tell you this, I do know what's being taught. And anyways,
Mhm.
all right, here we go. Danielle.
Hi, Lindsay. Nice,
Hi.
nice to meet you. So you wear a lot of hats.
Mhm.
How do you hold yourself accountable? Because you are a boss, badass boss lady. So how do you get it all done? Like, what do you have to set an alarm for 1,000 different things? Do you use Google Calendar? Do you somebody phone a friend? I don't know. Tell me
Yep,
about that.
literally Google Calendar. My husband does not understand the calendar. He's like, well, Cade, my son is going to come down and visit on this weekend. I'm like, cool, yeah. I'm like, oh, 2 weeks later, I'm like looking for it on the calendar. I'm like, where is this alleged like visit? And he's like, it's this day, and I'm like, it's not on the calendar. And he's like, I told you. I'm like, it's got to be on the calendar. Like everything has to be in writing, or I will literally book an event and like, sorry, you didn't put on the calendar. Alarms. I seriously have an alarm set today to like post a reel. Just, oh, don't forget to post the reel. Like I'm gonna forget. So it's gotta be an alarm with a name on it. But yeah, as far as balance is very, very hard. I mean, balance is something that I'm always struggling with. But if you keep a calendar, alarms, and have like your own personal convicted like restrictions. I think that's really helpful. So like when people say, yeah, let's chat next week, I'm like, let's set a time and a date, because I'm not having you call me at 6 o'clock at night. And I know that I need to have that meeting with you, but it can't be like the 1 hour I've set aside to like, I'm gonna read with my daughter. And then if you do that, then you're going to go, babe, oh, hold on, sweetheart. This is really important. Really important. Hold on. And I've had days, I'm going to be very, very honest with you guys because I don't know any other way to be. I've had days where I've told my daughter, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Just let me get this one phone call done and then we'll do this. We'll do this. And then my phone rings again. And I'm like, just, okay, hold on. This is really important. One more. And then I'll come out and we'll do this and this and this. And then before you know it, the day is over. And I'm like, whoa, that was a bad mom day. I literally told her over and over and over that she was my last priority. So like that convicts me all the time, all the time. If I can set, and I've started even, I don't know if I did it with you, Matt, or if this was just how we scheduled, but I've had podcasts, even really big ones where I'm like, well, my kids are in school Monday through Thursday from 9 a.m. to this time. So this is when I can do a podcast. And I make them rearrange their recording schedule so that every night of the week, I'm not doing something. And my kids are like, well, this was the one time we had with you, but you're on a podcast again. So like it's crazy because I am a business owner, but I set hours for myself. So like there's no I work whenever. Like I will literally put on my calendar, um, sit down at a computer and update my website, sit down and pay my affiliates, sit down and do this. Like I put it on my schedule so that I don't pick up my kids from school and go, crap, I forgot to do that today. I got to do it when I get home. It's like I
Right.
set my own, yeah, and that organization is a game changer. Like when you have that many hats going on, a calendar is,
It is the thing. It is the thing. And
yeah.
the accountability, Danielle, accountability ultimately is self-accountability, right? And so we get scared by the word accountability. We already get like a kind of physiologically respond to the whole thing of accountability. What are the priorities? And then are we prioritizing the priorities in the
Mhm.
schedule? That's always what it is. So it's
Mhm.
are we doing what matters and are we that's what leads to the efficiency part too is what we're doing, does that matter? And so that's all it is, man. It's priorities and efficiency.
Yeah, and I think that I don't want to just say mom, but I guess like mom, every mom knows when they've wronged, right? Like, you can convict yourself. You don't need anyone saying, you didn't spend enough time with your kids today, or you didn't read that book with your daughter that you said. You don't need anyone to tell you that. Your own mom guilt will tell you, like today, and it's okay. I've literally said to myself, you were not a good mom today. You are a very bad mom today. So you were a great business owner today. Good for you. Did that make you feel better, Lindsay? No. Tomorrow you need to be a better mom. So get everything you're gonna get done during those hours and then turn your phone off. I've started to turn my phone off, which gives me like extreme like anxiety because I'm like, what am I missing? But I'm like, I'm not missing anything that's more important than my kids. So I've started like turning my phone off during certain hours. And it's because then I know for sure I prioritized something that was important over my businesses.
Well, I like that you set the intention of I'm going to be a better mom today
Hmm.
because your focus is on that.
Yeah.
This morning with my son, we were driving. So, P.S. We moved to Texas too. We were driving this morning. The past 2 days, we've driven from Utah, and I said, "Listen, Mom's probably going to be a little short and crazy, and realize like if Mom seems mad, it's not at you." And because
Hmm.
I said that out loud to him, I've had nothing but we're like giggling and laughing, and there's not been any of those moments.
Yeah.
And I think it's because you set that like I'm setting the tone. I'm going to be a better mom today.
Yeah. And you're being real with them. Like you're not pretending that everything's always hunky dory and I'm always the good mom and always this. Like you're telling them, like I've had to tell my kids, I'm real stressed right now. We are packing the house. Everything's chaotic. I know that I'm not present. I know that I'm short, but like when we get to Texas, we have 5 days where we just are together and we're unpacking. It'll be fun. Just bear with me. And you can just kind of see them like, okay, all right, I understand. They don't, but
But they
we
do some.
try.
They do
What's
some.
that? They
They
do.
do
They do
some.
some. Yeah.
They don't get the emotional toll that goes with it, and they don't get all the logistics, and they don't get, but they understand when mom is like, "Hey, this is what's happening." They understand that
Mhm.
it's impacting you, and they're okay. You,
Yeah.
and they're not going to take stuff personally. Well,
Yeah.
they understand more than we give them credit for, honestly.
That's right. That's
So
right.
Man, I know we're at our hour. Do you have time for one more?
Yeah, totally. One more.
Okay, so
Let's
we'll
do
go,
it.
Jenna. We'll go one more, and then we'll
You got great, great girls here. Oh my
aren't they?
gosh.
They're the best, man.
Yeah.
So cool. Go ahead, Jenna.
Yeah, no,
Out
Yeah.
there
I
in
appreciate it.
Oregon.
What? I
Out
know in
there in
Oregon,
Oregon.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, you're in
I'm in
Oregon?
Bend. Yeah, I'm in Bend.
Oh, bless your heart.
Yeah, we came from San Francisco, so this for us is lovely. Um, yeah, okay. So, and well, I appreciate you taking the extra time for me to ask a question, and I really hope this does not come out offensive in any way.
Nope. I'm not
So I
easily
want
offended.
Okay, and I'm just always not great with my words. So I wanted to like preface that because just first. So and I'm asking because at the beginning you were talking about when you found your faith.
Mhm.
I am not religious. My husband is not religious. I'm Jewish, but like culture versus like religion of any sort. Our school that like Matt was talking about, campuses won't have any religious piece. We don't believe that religion belongs in, you know, the schools at all. Like that's something saved for home. So my
Mhm.
question to you is you had said that just your conviction with it, and like it only sounds like new conviction because you said when you found the Lord more
Mhm.
recently, like in COVID. And so this new conviction with the Lord and your faith, but then letting your kids think critically about things. And so, and giving them the options. And so I guess my question is where where does that differ in terms of right like of having faith is believing, right? It's believing a story, it's believing and having just blind faith in whatever this is that you want to believe,
Mhm.
and then like allowing your kids or whoever it may be to think critically and to even question that, but not putting sort of like, well, if you don't believe this, you're not going to heaven. If you don't believe this, you can't be a good person, because we have faith in ourselves and raise our daughter with like, you be a good person because that's the right thing to do, is to be a good person,
Right.
not that you're not going to heaven or you're going to go to these kinds of things. So just
Yeah.
the piece of where those lines cross and where it's belief versus like thinking critically, and like it's okay to think critically as long as you're not questioning this piece over
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it. So not offended. Totally not
Okay.
offended. I
I was
love
like,
it
I hope
because
I said it okay.
I'm a critical thinker from the Bible too. I've had literal conversations with myself in the car, like, but if Jesus this and Jesus that, and I'm like, I'm sorry, Lord, I know I'm questioning you, but I'm trying to think this through. And we have these conversations. But what I want to really reiterate is the difference between religion and relationship with Jesus. Like, I was raised religious. I was raised in the church. I went to Sunday school. I went to Wednesday night youth group. Like, I did all the things in choir and drama. And that is great. And it was an amazing childhood. But I will say, having faith that you are taught to have is very different than having faith because you saw God work in your life, like on your own. So my faith, the way I was raised, was to have faith. God is real. He loves you. He wants the best for you. I believe it, totally believe it. And I believed it throughout my whole life. And I believed it when God saved me from a drug addiction. And I believed it when he restored me from my abortion. But even with all of that, my faith came into play for me in 2020 when we lost everything, because it's very easy to have faith in God when things are great. Oh, God gave me this beautiful house. He gave me this great job. Like, of course, I have faith in him. He's so good to me, so good. But then what do you think about God when you just lost the house that you built and you have to run from Oregon and all your businesses are gone and your life is over and you have no money, no security, no income? Now, do you still have faith? And I'm like, I do. I do have faith. This is the worst moment of my life, but I believe that God has a bigger plan for me. I believe in the God that I was raised, that he's good. He has good plans for me, to prosper me, to not to harm me. I believe everything that I was taught. And now I get to be tested and show the Lord that I will not curse him in the moment where he took everything. I will still have faith and I believe in him. And now, 5 years later, my kids get to see that faith. They don't believe, I don't think they believe in God because I've told them to. It certainly helps that we go to church and read the Bible and they learn scriptures. Certainly that helps. And sure, let's be honest, is it a form of indoctrination? Yeah, I'm indoctrinating them to believe in the Lord, but I'm right about that because the Lord is real. What they get to see is that 5 years later, mommy is happier. She's home with us. She's more concerned with our safety. Her marriage is better. She's got businesses that are more successful than they were before, but they're businesses that she does from home with us. Like we see that she put her faith in God 5 years ago instead of cursing him when she lost everything. And she was right. The Lord did provide. He did have a better plan. He did have plans to prosper her. He is good. And they are seeing me daily, authentically praise his name for all of the good and all of the bad. That's what faith is, praising his name for the good and the bad. And when you are raised to witness that, to witness not only that kind of faith, but like that it comes to fruition, then I believe I'm not telling them to believe in God. I'm telling them that I believe in God. And I think that they are naturally going, well, I do too, because I can see what you're saying. I can see him working. I can see him believing. And I'm going to be honest, your question is totally legit. What is the difference between saying you need to believe in this God that I worship and love, but also think for yourself? But I would want to believe that when my kids go, but mommy, if God this and this and this, then how does this happen? And I would go, that's a great question. That's a great question. Let's talk to some pastors. Let's read the Bible. Let's see if it's biblical. Let's figure out why we believe what we believe and why you question it. And let's see where you end up at the end of it. So like you guys are going to crack up. I'm a flat earther. Totally believe the earth is flat. Biblically, the earth is flat. Okay. Period. Biblically, the earth is flat. My husband, who is not as psychotic as me, is like, oh my gosh, the earth is round. Like, you're so dumb, NASA, the space, like the pictures of and I'm like, I can debunk it all. If you want to sit down, I can debunk all of it if you'd like. And he's trying to teach our kids that the earth is round. And I'm like, but think critically, children, think critically. What does the Bible say? So we're literally like, we have to give our kids the ability to think for themselves because we believe opposite things. Now, I'm right for my poor husband. He's totally wrong. I feel for him. In the end, we'll see when we get to heaven. Earth is totally flat. But our kids have to think critically because it's like, well, mommy says it's flat and daddy says it's round. Well, you decide for yourselves, So like there is a balance. There totally is a balance between religion and critical thinking. Believe in this because we say so, but also think for yourselves. But I'd like to think that I'm developing a relationship with my kids where they're not just being taught something, they're seeing it acted out in real life. They're seeing God in real life. They're seeing him come through for me. They're seeing my faith pay off. And they have the Bible in their hands that they can go and research. What do I believe and not believe? And I would challenge them to question it because that's what I do.
It's really good. Really good. And Jenna, such a good question too. And that's why it's steel manning and the spark and the things that we do and that's why it's so important too, right? Because if there is something that you inherently will not question, then you've got to be honest that there is not a true belief that question it. Question anything that you believe. Orson Scott Card, that quote, he says this is how we as humans are. We question all the things we believe, except for those we really believe and those we refuse to question. I love that quote, right? And it's like, man, you really believe that one, so I won't question it because, oh my gosh, what if I find that's where your best question is then. That's what you need to do because that's with our kids. I think that's one of the best things we can do is no matter what it is this is what I believe. Here's why. And here's the best evidence that I've got. And I'm trying to prove myself incorrect all the time, which is why I either have to change my mind or I continue to come back to this because I can't prove myself wrong. And like, that's it. Like, that's the journey, for all of us. Yep. I think it's a great question, Jenna.
Jenna, there are multiple books. Can't think of the name of even one of them right now, but you could look it up. From atheists, and the atheists set out to write a book to prove that Jesus Christ is not the Son of God and that he was a false prophet and all these things, and ended up becoming believers because they went out to prove he didn't exist and he wasn't who he said he was, and they found the opposite. So thank you. Someone wrote The Case for Christ. The Case for Christ. An atheist went out and said, you guys are nutcases. This guy was phony. He was fake. I'm going to prove it. He went out and he proved himself wrong.
Yeah, I
So
think I think that my husband's, or I don't know if that's what the men were just talking about in a different call or something like that. Is that the same book?
that was not the same book. I know what you're talking about. We
Okay.
were talking about a different one by that one's by Lee Strobel. We were talking about a book by Frank Turek,
But
called
along the same lines, right? Some
just
it's
similar. It's called "I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist," and so it actually
yes.
takes a scientific perspective, and it does lean Christian, but it takes a scientific perspective at the beginning around creation versus no creation. So it starts at the very
Yeah.
foundation.
Yeah,
What,
no, my husband is the researcher, and like
okay.
I go with my gut and then ask questions and believe, which is what I appreciate about Apogee is the civil discourse and the space to like have questions and to have to have conversations where people aren't like, well, F you, like see you later, bye then, because
I'm
we
offended. Click.
disagree,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Exactly. And so it's like a really special place. And yeah, he's reading that one that you just said, Matt, because
Jenna and her husband
we're
are
not
getting
believers.
sick. They're getting sick.
Definitely not going to happen. But
No, don't say that.
I'm a Jew, so it's like it's
You never
there's not a
know.
lot of us, so I got to stay Jewish and proud because there's a tiny, tiny little bit of us, so I will stay there. But yeah, no, he's reading it because exactly he's like of exactly what you just said, Matt, of the piece of like if I like of just reproving to yourself or like and having those questions of making sure that do I agree or am I continuously feeling right in this situation with extra research and going down that path? And so, yeah, I'm very curious. He's going to give me the TLDR on it all, which I'm excited about. But yeah, no. So thank you for just again the conversation and not being offended by my question.
Of course.
Awesome, man.
Thank
Really
you.
good question, Jenna. You're awesome. Okay, so listen, we are going, I know, and thank you for going over time too.
Yeah, of course.
I'm gonna send you a text here in a little bit too. I have something I want to send to your family once you guys get to Texas. I have so many,
Oh,
like you guys are awesome when we're in Texas, obviously all the time with what we're doing here too. So at some point I'm gonna give you a hug in person too, but I want to make sure
yeah.
it goes out. Where does everybody find you? How does Apogee support you? And we'll let you go keep
Yeah.
packing
No, I got to go pick up my kids from school.
or that. There you
The
go.
joys. So my main social media account is the.patriot.barbie on Instagram. I kind of don't do X. Everything goes to Facebook. So Instagram is my main platform. My website is patriotbarbie.com. And you can find everything there. I wrote a book, my memoir, Targeted, is like kind of the whole story of the lockdowns and defying, and it was my testimony. I wrote a children's book last year, faith-based children's book. I'm gonna write another one next year. I haven't told anybody that. And yeah, all my brands and everything are on my website. So,
How do we best support you? Us as an organization. What do we do for you?
oh man. If you see a message that is good and great, share it so that my message gets to more people.
That's fair. You're a
Yeah,
rock star. I
thank you.
appreciate you so much. It's awesome, man. I love it. Love the whole journey. Wishing you guys safe travel too. I am going to send you a text here in a little bit. I'll send you
Okay.
because for some reason my voice messages to you don't ever go through.
I know. What is
I don't
that?
know. Yeah, I have no idea, but I'll make an annoying video and you'll have to see this face one more
Okay.
time briefly.
Ah,
And
rats.
I'll send that over to you too because I want to send you guys something. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you. Thank you guys so much. Thanks everyone for joining.
Thank
Awesome
you.
crowd.
I
Thank
appreciate you,
you.
girl. All right, talk soon.
Bye.
Yeah.